The movie 12 Years a Slave, starring heavyweights like Brad Pitt, and has gotten Hollywood talking about Oscar contention. But it's worth noting the film is actually an adaptation of a little-known autobiography from the mid-19th century, stumbled upon by the film's director. Arise News book editor and CEO of HumanOnline.com is here, Marva Allen, to talk about this book and another great one as well. It's good to see you as always. You look marvelous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you know, I think some people will be surprised to find out that the movie is adapted from a book. I think the movie itself was marketed as a real life story.
I know, it's really amazing. And you know, it's so encouraging for me as an author, for me as a book person, to know that the written word can survive 160 years. Because this book was written in 1853 by Solomon Northrop, who was in bondage for 12 years. And I saw the movie, and I read the book, and I have opinions, but you know.
Well, give us your opinions.
Well, you know, the movie, I believe, could have taken a little bit more creative license, because he was a free man for 30 years. And we should have seen that. And for the 12 years that he was a slave, we should have seen that too. But I also wanted to see what he did with his life after he got back from slavery. So I wanted that indomitable spirit that wrote this book to do that. But basically, this is a slave narrative, much like the Harriet Tubman narrative, that's really lasted and given us a real glimpse into slavery. And this man was just amazingly forgiving, you know, even in the book when he says slavery was not all bad people. You know, some of the slave owners were really great people. The guy, Brad Pitt, who helped me to get free, was a really great man, and he just told the story as it. And basically, if I just read a little section, you'll kind of get an idea of what it is and how he wrote. Because it says, having been born a free man, and for more than 30 years enjoyed the blessings of liberty in a free state, and having at the end of that time been kidnapped and sold into slavery, where I remained until happily rescued in the month of January 1853, after a bondage of 12 years. It has been suggested that an account of my life and fortunes would be of no interest to the public. How funny.
Imagine that.
How funny. Now he's up for an Oscar.
I know.
You know, so it's really great. Yeah.
You know, the only thing more incredible than the story itself is the fact that this gentleman wrote a book in this country in the 1800s. In 18, what did you say, 53?
In 18, and in the year that he was released from bondage, you know, and I mean, he was an educated man, he was an entrepreneur, he was a violinist, he was very well bred, you know, and for this to happen to him and for him to come out of that and to document this with such candor and with such honesty and with no anger, you know, is amazing to me. And the foreword was written by Dolan Perez, and she wrote the book called Wench that was very much well acclaimed. And she says it's still the story that continues to ask, who are we? Who are we as Americans? You know, which is just brilliant.
Indeed, indeed. We've definitely whet my appetite to learn even more of the story than was portrayed in the movie.
Absolutely. It's
all right,
great.
fantastic. Let's move on to your next book, Shattered Mirrors.
Shattered Mirrors, a sad book for me, a very, very sad book. Most of us need to shatter our mirrors so we can see what's behind. This is a young man who was physically, mentally, and sexually abused from the age of 8 on. And he had a call from a friend who had experienced the same thing and committed suicide. And this jolted him into writing this cathartic memoir, and he did it from the life lessons from his grandmother. They had no idea he was being abused, but they kept giving him all of these life lessons on how to forgive, how to move forward. Now he's a fantastic, successful CPA. He's doing really great things, and he had an amazing book signing the other day. And what was startling to me, the place was packed. And I had no idea that there were people that were so broken in plain sight. You know, it was filled with a lot of young men who had experienced some of these same things. So he has sort of broken the stereotype and given people permission to engage their pain and to triumph over it.
And tell me about the style that he used to write this book.
Very, 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 very frank. You know, he doesn't hold back. And he talks about his confusion. His grandfather was one of the biggest gamblers in Detroit. He never knew his father. You know, his mother was too beautiful for her own good, if you know what I mean, and his grandmother who raised him. And so he writes in these lessons from his grandmother. And he said when he released the book and he went to his grandmother, she said, I never knew any of these things were happening. Please forgive me. You know, and it's just such a beautiful book. And I mean, it just shows you that these things are happening and how we must protect our children.
That is amazing. This is his first book?
This is his first book, first book. And I'm pleased to say it's doing extraordinarily well. And
what a courageous endeavor for a first-time
It's very
author.
courageous, very, very courageous, and very cathartic, I'm sure.
Okay, Shattered Mirrors is that one, and of course, 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
All right, Marva, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
And we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching Arise America. Have a great day. Goodbye.